Good morning, everybody, and how are you out there? And welcome to the Texas Roadshow. Sorry we're back a bit late today, but basically what we decided to do today, which is like the fourth coming up, was to do a general question and answer time for some people that are looking to get into real estate. Let me tell you a little bit about the goal from the Texas Real Estate Show. The Texas Real Estate Show is an information resource whether you want to be an agent, or you're just generally interested in a particular city in Houston. So if you want to be an investor, an agent, just interested in the locale, if you wish, and we just want to be the resource that you can go to if you need any information. Please understand that this is for help, information, and enjoyable sources just so we can share some information. And basically what we have today, we have some questions that some people have submitted on the channel, and we thought we'd just bring them up first. So one of the questions that sort of, came up first was, is a real estate agent, do they do a job? Is it an employed job? Or is it on a commission basis? A real estate agent is employed on a commission basis. There's goods and there's bad with that. Obviously, the more you put into it, the more you get out of it. You're not an employer that's telling you what you can get, out of it. And limiting what you can earn. So to be perfectly honest, skies are the limit. But there are some negatives with insurance, although the National Association of Realtors do have a health insurance plan, which I wish could be a little bit better because I've been looking at that myself the last couple of weeks. So, that's good. There are obviously an awful lot of benefits, but if you're coming into the industry, I really think for your sake and your family's sake,
please consider the benefits and negatives of becoming a real estate agent in the real estate realm. I do think as time has gone on, we have agents have become more aligned with real estate investing. So myself, I bought just a few properties where I put them aside, if you want to, for my retirement. So I have a few real estate properties out there that I use as a tool for my real estate, retirement, if and when that comes. Although I've told everybody that they'll probably take me to my grave, and I'll work to my grave. So that was a question that some agents have asked. Is it a job? Does the broker pay me anything while I'm training? Probably not, to be perfectly honest with that. A lot of agents say they want the training, but they're not really dedicated to the training. One of my coaches, when I was working for Olympics, always said, you can have the greatest training in the world, but you know what? If you can't get to the gym, or if you can't get to the ice rink, then you'll never make the champion that you thought you could be. Let me see. Can real estate be done on a part-time basis? Well, at Century 21 Olympian in Houston, I've got some agents that work part-time really in real estate, and they might make 150,000 plus. I have some agents that work full-time that don't even go anywhere near that. So a lot of it is what we call your SOI, which is your sphere of influence. And basically what I highly recommend that you do, we really need to do, is to get your sphere of influence so you could use them on a regular basis. But you really need to get a good sphere of influence. Somebody that is part-time can make as much as they're full-time, but the chances of you doing that are significantly lower. There's a saying in the industry That is 20% of the agents do 80% of the business. Okay. That I cannot tell you is so true. Um, and that 20% of the business is also limited again. This is just my opinion on the situation, whether you're with a franchise, whether you're an independent, whether you work with an independent franchise. Rheology, for example, who owns Century 21, last year they did 1.44 billion, billion. Um, so the systems that are available to us that aren't available to all customers, all brokerages, in my opinion, are not equal. But I do think that a lot of brokerages need to work together with one another. Nothing will ever replace an agent, whether it's a Zillow app, whether it's a Realtor.com app. A lot of the information that they have on a lot of these sites is not correct. Um, Nothing will ever replace, in my opinion, a qualified, educated agent. In Houston, we're very lucky to have HAR. As HAR, the Houston Association of Realtors. If you're looking for a property, go to har.com. You're more than welcome to try century21.com. But basically, har.com is a really good resource to go to if you're looking for a property, and go right to the source, go right to that listing agent. What's happened in our industry over the years is you've got some sites that are out there, and what they're doing is selling the advertising. So they're taking the listings from the MLS. Then what they're doing is they're selling the leads that are generated from that property, and then they're selling them leads to agents, and agents are playing directly into them different sources to basically, and agents are purchasing them leads. Some of them leads, there's one property that we've got, we get calls on that property, and we leased that property 3 years ago. So it's not reliable information, and it's not up-to-date information. What we call syndicated and unsyndicated websites. What basically happens is an unsyndicated website is a site that never updates the status of that particular property. It wastes an awful lot of time, from the agent's point, and particularly, the client's point as well. Let me see what we have here. Okay. On here it's got Dennis Shelton. We can barely hear you. Dennis, which part did you not hear? Just so we can go through that again. And same for you, Jeffrey. Does Dennis and Jeffrey, do you have any questions? Have you got YouTube open? Let's talk a little bit about mentorships. Okay. I believe that mentorships could only done effectively, on a full-time basis. There's one very successful brokerage out there where their internship is 5 weeks, um, and that may work for some people. I do believe that some people learn different ways, so you've really got to find what works for you. Find out what you've really got to do is meet with a number of brokers, and what you've got to do is to find a broker that you feel you have not a relationship with, but just somebody you can communicate with. Communication is so important on what you're doing. And the approach for getting a license is two ways. There's real estate schools all over the city. There's also online classes. We will put a link below here um, to one of the real estate schools that we have an association with. Um, what we can also do, if you come in and you decide that you do something you want to do, you can come in, you can get an interview with us, and we can actually give you a discount code. So as long as you come in and you interview us, we'll give you a discount code to go and take some classes. um, and that's an online class system. So you're more than welcome to do that. You can contact us at the information below. But basically, there's two systems. One is in class, and the other one is online. Depending on if you're working somewhere, perhaps you need to do it online. I do my CE online. I very much in the past have gone to a school in Houston called Champions School of Real Estate. I like the in-house approach where I can go in and meet people, sit down. I've got a lot of friends there. It's nice to see them on a yearly basis or a bi-yearly basis, whichever, the classes that I do. If anything interesting comes out, I'll look online to see if them classes are available. And I've basically, I've gone in to see that. But as I said to you, and there's hours that you need to do. At the moment, there is 6 basically principal classes that you have to do, and there's 3 additional classes which you have to do to the point of taking your license. I would highly recommend that when you come into the business, that you get mentored for a good 2 years. That's our approach that we take with our new agents. We don't take everybody on. But we have an approach at Olympian where we want to monitor your first 2 years. We want to see what you do. We want to make sure that you're being monitored, and that you've always got a call. I'm always a call away. I put a call in actually to another broker a couple of days ago to appear on this show 3 days ago. They still haven't returned the call. Now, if that's for an agent that needs some help on a contract, I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but hopefully that broker that I called, it would be nice to see you in a couple of days. Do you recommend other agents from other states for people who move out of Texas? I do, to be perfectly honest. I do recommend that if you're moving out of state, there's a screening process for Century 21 has a screening process for agents. So what I would recommend you do is contact one of the franchises, whether it be, as I said, we are not necessarily a Century 21, although Century 1 do this channel, and we've got that knowledge. Keller Williams are more than welcome to contact me to come in and tell, so we learn a little bit more about Keller Williams. Compass, Berkshire Hathaway, you're more than welcome to contact me at any time. We'd love to have you on the show so other people could learn about you. Any of the independents that want to come out to the show, we really want to make this a resource for new agents. But what I would recommend to E&D Productions, as I said, the question was, do you recommend other agents from other states for people who move out of Texas? I recommend that what you do is contact somebody specifically from a franchise, and then they can contact somebody from that particular franchise, because what they will do is there's a particular standard that a lot of the franchises will put on people taking relocations. I've got one on my desk at the moment that's coming in from Maryland, and they're basically selling their house in Maryland and they're moving to Houston. They work in the oil business. Being a referral, it's a little bit more specific that agent, every client should be treated all right, ultimately, and get a fantastic experience. But I would like, as that's a referral, for that client to really feel special, to really feel welcome in my organization. And so that's a point that I will make to that agent, is basically don't screw it up. It would be somebody that's experienced. It would be somebody that's experienced in that agent, in it, somebody that's experienced in that area. Um, and I, as a broker, would just take a little bit more personal responsibility. I don't, want to feel that every agent is not. I don't want to feel that every client is, you know, is isn't treated the same, because they are. Um, Jeffrey was saying that, he's tried the online classes. How do you find the online classes, Jeffrey? He's in the chat if it looks. How much do real estate agents make? Great question. Okay. I had an agent last year that made 1.7 million. And she called me up on New Year's Day and she said, "Okay, Stephen, what have I got to do to make 5 million?" There is no end to what an agent can make. If you're really looking, but at the end of the day, what you put in it, it's how much you're going to put into it. How much sacrifices are you going to make? I definitely was not the most talented skater when I was in, and I competed in the Olympics, and I was lucky enough to compete in the Olympics with Torval and Dean, Wendy Sessions, who was my partner, who put up with me for 7 years. I was very, very lucky to, to be in that line. But our coach, Bobby Thompson, had a famous saying. He says, "You're only get out of it. You're only get out of something what you put in it, and it only takes one number one." And I would hope that you drive to be the number one. Your success will drive you. I don't know what's in the name when you say HFPC, Houston Film Production Club. Well, if you've got an edge that you can give to that, whether it's the way you market a property, whether it's the way you film a property, that sometimes is, I tell all my new agents, look for a uniqueness in the way that you do business. That can help you. And that's a problem that we have with new agents coming into the business. They want to learn with what some of the new agents are doing, but what some of the old agents and successful agents are doing. But the truth of the matter is, find something that's a little bit more different. Do you have to be a people person to be a real estate agent, or can fake it? I think you have to be a real person. You have to get to know your person. I recently sold a house. I specialize, there's a lot of specialties that you can specialize in the real estate market. I specialize in corporate sales. I specialize in corporate sales. I specialize in probate. I recently did a probate. The people are 4 hours away and they live in Texas. They're selling the property for the father. And it was a very, very difficult transaction, and you really had to get to know the daughter for that transaction. Communication was very important. They couldn't do much in the way of electronic signatures. They really didn't. They didn't want to do electronic signatures. So every time you've got to go over there, you've got to take your paperwork. You've got to get wet signatures. But I do think that being a people person will help you and be an advantage. Let me see what we have here. Any questions that we have? Is it difficult to retain any information? I personally don't think it's difficult to retain. If you've got a good broker and you've got somebody that's going to work with you, and most of all that can communicate with you, I've had more problems in my 25 years from other brokers than what I have had agents. And the reason why I say that is because other brokers sometimes they get very argumentative, and I don't want to get into an argumentative situation. I had one agent one agent 6 months ago turned around to me and said, I haven't done an IABS for 15 years. Well, that's a required piece of documentation that is required by the Texas Real Estate Commission. Oh, I never bothered with that document. Well, it'll catch up with that agent in time. They were a broker, and to be perfectly honest, I just haven't got. I tried to educate them. I tried to tell them they needed to get it done. They gradually got it done, but it was like pulling teeth. It just didn't work at times. I want to thank the people that are on. Does anybody else have any questions before we round it up for this week and wish everybody a happy 4th? We've got July the 4th over here for the 4 days. Any other questions that we've got? I do actually have some of the most common questions that new agents ask is, are the real estate laws different in every state in the United States of Texas? And the answer to that is yes, they are. Texas is completely different. One of the ways it's different is something that we have called an option period. So in the first 10 days of a contract or whatever is negotiated in the contract, I've even contracts as less as 1 and 3 and 5, although I as a broker would not recommend it. But with the market like it is, it's been negotiated that way. Basically, they basically negotiated them option periods down. But the option period it'll give you time to inspect the property, to view the property. So if you want to change your mind or you have a change of idea at all, then at that point, you can move on and go to your next house. How long does it take to generate a consistent income to support yourself? Well, that depends on a number of factors. That depends on 1, whether you're part-time or full-time. 2, how much learning you want to do. 3, how much you want to go out there and knock on people's doors. How many people you've got in your sphere of influence, your SOI. And how much you want to get yourself out there. Social media is an important part of the real estate of the real estate market at the moment. I hope you've got some social media skills, and that is very very important. If you can get a mentorship with a broker, I would try to get a mentorship. You're not going to get. People think that because they've got a mentorship, it's necessarily a good mentorship. Mentorships, the whole goal of a mentorship is to be in a position where after the mentorship, you are a standalone agent. No 2 transactions are ever the same in a real estate transaction. So basically, I'd hope that mentorship build your education as in the contracts and how you apply yourself. You can have the most knowledge in the business, but if you don't know or appreciate how to apply that knowledge to a particular situation, it's not going to make any difference at all. One of the things we teach at Olympian is we have a mentorship which we like our agents to go through. That basically one of the most important parts to our mentorship program is we want you to apply what you've learned to different situations. It really is very, very important. Century 21 are just going through a situation where what they're basically doing is we are going over to a system called MoxieWorks. MoxieWorks is a very well-known technological. It's a very technological based system, and we are going over to that system. and it'll be interesting to see how the move over goes. But it's basically a website for the agent. It links into social media from the back end. It'll help the agents do recruiting. There's a lot that it links into, and it links into an agent's Facebook. Um, so hopefully, I really do feel it will help the agent ultimately, be more productive. Figures have been released in some of the programs that Century 21 have got. There was a program that was released recently called Accelerate, and when the agents went into that program, into Accelerate, their production figures went up basically 120% on average. So, we would like to sort of see you. We'd like to see you on a weekly basis. Please send in your questions and we'll get to them. And hopefully my friend James Lee will be back to me. So from the English Cowboy in Texas, we want to wish you all a 4th. Have a great 4th. We look forward to seeing you. Take it easy and stay happy.